At 26, Mira Sanders should have been proud of how far she'd come. Her friends often told her she had the kind of job many people envied, working as a secretary in a sleek, high-rise building downtown, dressed in polished skirts and heels, seated behind a gleaming reception desk. But in truth, the glamour wore thin quickly. Each morning, Mira would ride the packed train into the city, clutching her coffee cup like a lifeline, her long brown curls tied in a high ponytail that bounced with every step she took. She would glance at her reflection in the dark train windows and wonder how she looked so put together on the outside, when inside she felt like she was slowly unraveling. The office was a machine. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Phones rang incessantly. Her boss, a tall, sharp-voiced man who wore cologne too heavily, barked orders as though urgency was his only language. Deadlines were constant, mistakes were intolerable, and the air always felt too cold. Mira endured this life for 2 years. 2 years of smiling through clenched teeth, of redoing memos because the margins weren't just right, of dodging office politics and dreading Monday mornings. The paycheck was steady. The title looked good on paper, but the stress began to chip away at her, bit by bit. What finally broke her wasn't a catastrophic event. It was a Tuesday morning when she dropped her coffee on the marble lobby floor. Her hands had trembled, and as she knelt down to wipe the mess, a coworker stepped around her like she was an obstacle. Something in Mira's chest just cracked. That night, she went home and typed her resignation letter. She had no plan, no next move. But the moment she clicked send, a surprising calm settled over her. The restaurant job came unexpectedly. A small Italian bistro a few blocks from her apartment had a sign in the window. Help wanted, dishwasher. Mira walked in on a whim. The owner, Maria, took one look at her and said, "You ever worked in a kitchen before?" "No," Mira said honestly, "but I'm a fast learner." Maria handed her an apron. "You start tomorrow." And that was that. The kitchen was hot, noisy, and chaotic in a completely different way from the office. But somehow it felt human. Real. Mira didn't have to answer phones or type memos. She scrubbed plates, stacked pans, and learned to move in rhythm with the cooks. There was always music playing in the background. Old Italian songs or lively jazz. At the end of the night, she'd collapse on her couch smelling of garlic and steam and soap, but she felt satisfied. Her hands were tired, her back ached, but her mind was quiet. There was just one problem: her hair. Her long, curly brown hair had always been a defining feature. People complimented her on it constantly. It framed her heart-shaped face beautifully. But in the kitchen, it became a nuisance. Even tied back in a ponytail, strands would escape. They'd stick to her neck with sweat, get damp from the steam, and occasionally dip too close to the soapy sink water. She tried everything: tight buns, double hair ties, even headbands under her bandana. Nothing worked for long. Mira began to dread washing her hair at night. It took forever to dry. Sometimes she fell asleep with it wet, only to wake up with a tangled mess. One night, after a particularly long shift, Mira stood in front of her mirror in just her bathrobe, hair damp and unruly, and sighed. "This is getting ridiculous," she muttered. Her eyes drifted to her phone on the counter. She picked it up, opened the browser, and typed, "Easy hairstyles for thick curly hair." She scrolled through countless pictures: pixie cuts, angled bobs, undercuts. Then, like a lightning bolt, a different image appeared. A woman, with a completely shaved head. Mira paused. The woman was smiling. Her scalp was smooth. Her eyes seemed brighter. She looked free. A chill ran through Mira. She stared at the picture for a long time. Her thumb hovered over the screen. "No way," she whispered to herself. "That's crazy." But even as she told herself it was ridiculous, she couldn't look away. For days, the image haunted her. At work, while scrubbing trays, she'd catch herself daydreaming about the smooth feel of a bald scalp. No more sweaty strands, no more clogged drains, no more late-night detangling. Just nothing. Every time she tied her hair back, the thought came back, What if it was gone? Every time she tied her hair back, the thought came back. What if it was gone? She told no one. Not her coworkers. Not her sister. Not even Maria. It felt like a secret. One she barely understood herself. She'd stand in the shower, tugging the wet curls down her back, imagining how different her head would feel without them. There were doubts, of course. What if her head was oddly shaped? What if she looked sick? What if she regretted it? But then came a night when she caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror after work. Hair frizzy, forehead damp, eyes tired. And she whispered, "Enough." The salon was 3 blocks from her apartment. It wasn't one she'd ever been to before. The windows were frosted, but a warm yellow glow spilled out from inside. The name was simple: Luna Hair Studio. She walked in and was greeted by a stylist with lavender hair and a soft smile. "Hey there, what can we do for you today?" Mira took a deep breath. "I want to shave it off." The stylist blinked. "All of it?" Mira nodded. "Completely bald." There was a pause. The stylist tilted her head slightly, searching Mira's face. "You sure?" Mira's throat was tight, but she managed. "Yeah, I'm sure." "Okay," the stylist said with a kind smile. "Let's make it beautiful." Mira sat in the salon chair, heart pounding. The stylist, her name was Ivy, draped a blue cape over her shoulders, fastening it snugly around her neck. Mira caught her reflection in the large mirror, her long brown curls spilling over the cape like waves. Ivy ran a comb gently through them, sectioning the hair, lifting the weight away from her scalp. "Your hair is gorgeous," Ivy said softly. "But this is your choice, a bold one. I admire that." Mira tried to smile. "Thanks," she whispered. Her palms were damp under the cape. The anticipation was overwhelming. She'd dreamed about this moment for days, but now, sitting under the bright salon lights, she wasn't sure she could go through with it. Her throat tightened. What if this was a mistake? But then she remembered the steam rising in the kitchen, the sweat trickling down her temples, the frustration of tangled hair late at night. She remembered the woman in the photo, smiling, bald, radiant. I want that, Mira thought. I want to feel that free. You ready? Ivy asked gently. Mira nodded, eyes wide. Let's do this. Ivy reached for a pair of scissors first. Gotta chop it down before I buzz. She gathered one thick section of Mira's hair and held it up. Mira held her breath. The first cut landed with a dull, crunchy sound. A heavy chunk of her hair fell onto the cape, curling slightly as it hit the black fabric. Mira gasped softly. One by one, the long curls came off. The mirror reflected a changing woman. A girl slowly stripped of what had once defined her. By the time Ivy finished cutting, Mira's hair stuck out unevenly in tufts and stubs, like the wind had blown through a thicket. Mira blinked at her reflection. That's really short already. Ivy smiled. We're just getting started. She walked to her station and returned with a pair of silver clippers. They gleamed under the salon lights. Mira stared at them, heart racing. No guard? She asked quietly. Ivy shook her head. You said bald. That means right down to the scalp. I'll use the bare blade. Mira swallowed. Okay. Ivy turned the clippers on. The sound filled the room, loud and final. Mira's chest tightened. She closed her eyes. Head down for me, Ivy said gently. Mira obeyed. She felt the clippers touch the back of her head. And then they moved. The vibration buzzed through her skull. Warm metal glided over her skin. Ivy's hand was steady as she pushed the clippers up from Mira's nape toward her crown. With every pass, more stubble came off, falling like dark confetti across the cape and into Mira's lap. Mira opened her eyes and watched tufts tumble. Ivy moved quickly but carefully, making smooth swipes across Mira's head, mowing down the thick brown hair like a lawn on a summer day. The sensation was unlike anything Mira had ever felt. Her scalp felt exposed but clean. It was shocking, but also thrilling. A breeze from the ceiling vent hit the freshly shaved section at the back of her head, and Mira shivered. Ivy moved to the sides now, running the clippers from Mira's ears upward. Hair dropped like feathers around her shoulders. Mira could see her scalp beginning to emerge. Smooth, pale, unmarked. "You're doing amazing," Ivy said over the hum. Mira's voice was a whisper. "It feels so strange. But good?" She paused. "Yeah, really good." More passes. Ivy circled Mira's head like an artist working on a sculpture. The clippers glided over the crown, the temples, the curve of her skull. Each pass was decisive. Each strip of hair fell with grace. And then, just like that, the buzzing stopped. Silence returned to the salon. Mira looked at herself in the mirror. She was bald. Truly bald. She was bald. A quiet gasp escaped her lips. Her hands, trembling, emerged from beneath the cape and reached upward, cautiously, almost reverently. Her fingertips met skin. Smooth, warm, bare. Her breath hitched. Tears welled in her eyes. "Oh," she whispered. "It's all gone." Ivy stepped beside her, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You okay?" Mira nodded quickly, but a single tear escaped and rolled down her cheek. I didn't expect to feel this emotional." "It's a big change," Ivy said kindly. "But you're glowing, Mira. You look beautiful." Mira looked again. Without the hair, her cheekbones stood out more. Her eyes looked larger, her jawline sharper. The person staring back at her looked powerful, raw, real. "I love it," she whispered, voice cracking. "I'm not done yet," Ivy said, smiling. She returned with a hot towel and wrapped it gently around Mira's head. "Time to get you fully smooth." Mira relaxed into the chair as Ivy massaged shaving cream across her scalp. The warmth seeped into her skin, calming her. Then came the razor. It glided across her head with soft precision, cleaning up the last of the stubble. The rhythmic scrape, scrape, scrape of metal on skin felt soothing, meditative. Ivy took her time, making sure every curve, every inch was sleek and polished. When it was over, Ivy applied a cooling balm and Mira felt it tingle. The cape came off. The floor was covered in brown curls. Mira stood slowly, walked to the mirror and stared. Her reflection was breathtaking. "I did it," she said aloud. "You did," Ivy echoed. "And it suits you." Mira turned her head side to side, running her fingers along her freshly bald scalp. "I feel clean, like I left something behind." "You did. You left the old you in that hair." Mira nodded. Her throat was still tight, but her heart felt light. She arrived at the restaurant just before the lunch rush. The kitchen was already humming with energy. Orders called out in quick bursts, pans clattering, the rich aroma of garlic and onions filling the air. Maria looked up from the counter, saw Mira, and froze mid-sentence. "Oh my God," she said, eyes wide. "Mira!" Mira stepped inside, heart pounding. "Surprise?" Maria dropped her spoon and walked over, mouth agape. You shaved it all." Mira laughed, suddenly a little shy. "Yeah, all of it." "Let me look at you." Maria turned her this way and that. "Wow, you look fierce, like a badass." Mira exhaled. "You think?" "I know. It suits you. You've got the face for it. Eyes are poppin', and you look so confident." That word struck Mira deeply. She hadn't thought of herself that way in a long time.